I can keep my outrage in check no longer. No. With all the unbelievable hypocrisy going on lately with this so-called new video that has just been released, I cannot help but make notice of a number of interesting details which I will get to quite shortly. First off, however, folks, we're going to deal with the Ray Rice story. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it or haven't seen the footage, I'll give it to you in its essence. An American football player, very famous guy, one of my favorite running backs in the NFL, actually. Love the guy. But this summer, he knocked his then-girlfriend unconscious in a hotel, in a casino elevator, and the complete footage of the incident has so-called just been released, sparking, international debate about this. But let me state this. I got to get this off. This is an undeniable fact, and I got to say it right off, okay? And that is that men have been kicking the shit out of women since man and woman first appeared here. This is nothing new, all right? Now, obviously, that does not make it right, and obviously, in my view, a man is acting out of cowardice. You heard me? He is a fucking coward whenever he resorts to hitting a woman, or a child, or an animal for that matter. That is cowardice, man. Violence, unless it is defensive, is wrong. And the use of violence upon those who cannot defend themselves, pal, is always wrong. Always. Now, however, there is more to this story than just a street-tough black athlete pounding on his innocent wife, and that's where things get complicated. Now, if you've been following this story, there was a lot of talk in the media when the incident first came out several months ago about how it's a cultural thing amongst blacks and that white society doesn't really understand and shouldn't really judge the situation, especially if Rice's wife came forward and defended her man and essentially suggested this is between me and Ray. The first video that was splashed about showed Ray Rice dragging his unconscious and soon-to-be wife by the hair out of the casino elevator. Everybody saw the video, and everybody got a little outraged, and the NFL slapped a couple game suspension on Rice and assumed that the issue was behind them. Hardly, right? The outrage over Rice's wrist slap of a penalty was met with silence by the league and its players. Or, for the most part, people just said, well, no big deal. It's behind us now. Until more footage of the abuse suddenly came to light, right? Showing Rice. I mean, this guy put a fat left onto his wife's face, and then who falls to the floor of the elevator, man. I mean, out cold, right? If you haven't seen it, he clocked her. It was this footage that provoked the renewed calls to action and which earned Rice an indefinite suspension and getting cut from his team. But, suddenly everybody associated with the football felt compelled to utter their disbelief and their concern and shock, right? But I want to ask you, gentlemen, mostly, where the hell were you months ago when the first story came out and the video was there for everybody to see, right? No, okay, yeah, it was just a little dust-up between couples. No big deal, sure. Oh, but now you're on the podium decrying horrendous treatment like that as if Rice is the first man ever to get outed for his abusive behavior. And complicating the issue is what precedes the actual punch, because if you watch the video, I'm not making this up, you can hear it and you can see it. It's clear that she is name-calling and spitting at him, spitting in his face, right? And she may have been, in fact, doing her best to provoke a reaction, though we'll never know. But Rice clearly hit her with his left as if it was a common practice, typical Saturday night behavior, which, I get it, in some households it is typical behavior, but that still doesn't make it right. Now, I have to enter my own situation here for some clarity. I have been in the company of a lot of people who do things differently than what is expected in a civilization. I've been around the world. I've visited all sorts of cultures. I have seen a Cretan man, a guy from Crete, right, just absolutely blast his wife in the face with a punch after she's been haranguing him for 10 minutes straight. And, she falls to the floor, she gets up, and then she grabs a large board and hits him over the head with it. And then after he gets off the floor, they start laughing, and then they kept drinking like it was no big deal. I have also watched a very reasonable, circumspect college professor, his wife berating him before his friends for really a very minor offense.